Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you tuning into our show this evening. And wow, we've got an exciting 30 minutes to talk about some powerful things that are happening in Georgia. If you've been watching the news this week, you'll know that Stacey Abrams, a House rep in Atlanta, is in District 89, is running for governor against Brian Kemp. Now, she ran the last term and lost just by a small majority of about 55,000 people. But she's going to make another run this year, and some say that this is just a setup for a presidential race. I don't know if you follow politics in Georgia, but they're like all states. They've certainly got their ups and downs, and they've got a lot of issues that they've got to work through when it comes down to what are real policy issues in this state. Now, let me say, first of all, it is so good to have my son, my co-host, Jordan Cox.
What's going on, everybody?
Don't let me forget about him, because he is the part of the show. So, Jordan, it's good to have you on the show again. We have a great time talking about all these political issues that pop up around the country. And Georgia just seems to be a hot spot, and I think it's going to get a lot hotter over the next several months, because Stacey Abrams, no doubt, is a left-wing radical. Now, her idea of politics are going to be very different than what I would consider mainstream America. She's just so far left on so many issues that it's a little bit scary. And I think if she became governor, her slogan just won't fit her politics, because she's talking about one Georgia, meaning that she wants to bring everybody together. And I'm sort of amazed at these politicians that run for office, because they all talk about unity, and when they're elected, they do exactly the opposite. Joe Biden ran on that. He was going to bring America together, and he's done nothing but divide us. Yeah. Who is sitting on their couch out here listening to us that doesn't know that Biden has split this country right down the middle? If we think Trump was bad, wow, look what Biden has done. Absolutely. And now you've got this other politician, Stacey Abrams, who is so far left, says she wants to bring Georgia politics together and create one. Now, if you look at her policies, you've got to ask yourself this question: how are you going to do that? Jordan, take off on it.
Well, so I'm on her, Stacey Abrams .com page, and her policies, it has right here, policy actually on it. And then it has economic mobility. This is what she has to say about that. I have a vision for Georgia where prosperity is measured by more than how well a business is doing. We need to judge our economy by how many of our families can thrive.
Oh, let me have that back here.
Go ahead.
Wow, we listen to the message and language of that.
Very.
Don't judge a business by how well it is doing. Now, that is a very anti-capitalist statement.
Absolutely.
Because you know that we're capitalist, and you know that what we look at is our P&L all the time. That's what tells you how well your business is, your profit and loss.
Yes.
If it's in the black, that's good. If it's in the red, that's terrible.
Yes.
What's amazing is that capitalism has been built on profit. That's what made this country great. You go back and you study the industrial age.
Well, you know what's funny? They sure cared about Trump's businesses, whether they failed or succeeded.
Well, that's a good point, because they sure pointed that out about Trump. Well, he's not a businessman. Look what he's done financially. But now Stacey Abrams, making Georgia one, says it's not about how much money you make. What she's really saying, it's about equity. She's saying it's about the ability to take the money from the bottom line, the prosperity, that area of black that we love so good as capitalists, and she wants to cut it and take it from them and give it and redistribute it around people that she thinks needs it. Now, I know what someone's going to say. They're going to say, oh, my gracious, what are you not for helping people? Sure I am. I pay taxes. I've been a part of the economy all my life. I'm 63 years old. But let me say this first of all. You think about helping people in this country. We're almost $30 trillion in debt.
Yes.
60% of this $1 trillion debt is welfare. Yes. It is giving money to people. So don't tell me as a capitalist that I don't care about people, because we do. Corporations fund billions of dollars every year into projects and programs like food stamps, education, housing. I mean, the list goes on. Medicaid, Medicare. Right. So don't tell me capitalism is not helping minorities or poor people in this country.
It helps everybody. She goes on and to say, you know, it goes on to say our economy by how many of our families can thrive. Then she says, can they afford to start a small business?
Well, now let me jump on that. Oh my gracious, because what she's really saying there is, can you afford what she's advocating is federal and state funds to support people who want to start a business.
But she just said, I have a vision for Georgia where prosperity is measured by more than how well a business is doing. If that's your goal, if you don't care about that, then how can they afford to start a small business? You don't even care if the business succeeds or not.
Well, what she's saying in that line now, and this is going to be your governor if she's elected, and this is how she'll run the state of Georgia. She believes that small businesses that have no capital, she wants to see financial support that comes from state and federal grants to give to small businesses. Now, I don't have a big problem with that, but my goodness, we're $30 trillion in debt almost. Why do we want to keep creating programs that raise the deficit in our country to give people money to start a small? You know how you start a small business? You get up at 5 o'clock in the morning with a vision and a dream, and you work till you can't stand up anymore. You work to 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, 6 days a week. You go to church on Sunday, and you start over on Monday. And everything you did wrong, you go home and analyze it and say, why did this fail, and what do I need to do to fix it? You know what comes out of that? Grit, opportunity, and then prosperity. So those systems still work in America. There are many people that start businesses with absolutely nothing, and they do very, very well. So I'm just saying, when she says statements like that, her goal in Georgia as the governor is to take your tax dollars and create equity. She is going to create havoc on the state of Georgia. And if she wants to make a presidential bid, which is a joke to me, that's what she'll do to this country. She's another left-wing AOC who thinks that if I have a tendency and opportunity, I'm going to do what I want to do at the expense of robbing capitalism. I would say she is a full-blown socialist. Jordan, you got an opinion about this? Because I'm probably making a lot of people mad.
Well, no, I mean, she is. She is definitely the epitome. And for those of you that know who we're talking about, Stacey Abrams, you've seen her talk.
But my eye is on 2021, because when we do redistricting in 2021, if we have not changed the electorate, especially in the South, we will have a majority-minority population that is governed by a minority-white conservative coalition. And that's the most dangerous precedent that we could possibly set for the South in the next 20 years.
You've seen her on interviews and stuff like that. She is a huge supporter of transgenders,
voter suppression,
or voter rights, or whatever is what they call it. And the thing is they think that Republicans are trying to suppress voters, and that's not the case. She's out here saying that, I don't think that people should have an ID to vote. I think that's racist. That's a racist statement. She is the epitome of what's wrong in the country. Everything can't be racist. Everything, because it don't go your way or because a bill is passed, it doesn't mean it's racist. It doesn't mean that what you're doing or what they're doing is wrong, period, just because you disagree with it.
What we're talking about is self-accountability, self-growth. There has to be a time and a place in every individual's life. If you want to change your circumstances, you change your lifestyle and your habits. People that have made it great in this country, it wasn't an accident. It was perseverance. It was figuring out what's not right, sitting on the side of the bed and asking yourself this question: what went wrong? And just asking the good Lord to help you. Shine upon me some wisdom, and then go back and fix it. That is what makes leadership. That is what makes companies great. That is what starts small businesses. So I would say, we don't always need the help from the government to pave a way for our success. You as an individual have that ability. And for us to just sit back and tell the world that the government needs to fix this for you creates a lot of codependency upon a lot of people who, when they don't get what they want exactly, then who do they blame? They blame the government. They blame people who they think have more. And even Stacey Abrams has made this comment. I read it in one of her posts. She said, white people in Georgia average about $141,000 a year as opposed to minorities making $11,000. Now, you can't talk about this without somebody wanting to jump on the bandwagon and beat you up and call you racist. And that's not it at all. The real issue here is everybody has an opportunity. The Bible says, so as a man thinketh, so is he. If you see yourself moving forward and don't blame everyone around you, don't point your finger at other people, you hold yourself accountable and you make a difference. Now, I had this guy work with me one time, and he was trying to figure out how to get ahead. And I said, well, you're starting a business. Why don't you go and take a class here in one of the community colleges and just take it on small businesses? And, his words to me were, well, I like to get off work and stay at home, watch TV and play games and relax with the family. I said, well, that's the difference in you and success. You've got some skill and ability, but you don't know how to run a business. But you learn how to run a business by getting some education. And if you're not willing to put the time in, don't fuss about the outcome. If you're not willing to sweat and do what others aren't willing to do, don't get mad if I drive a Cadillac and you drive a rundown vehicle. The difference is, how much time are you willing to put in it? So, in America, there is so much opportunity out here. There are so many ways to make a dollar. There are so many ways to live and progress in this life. But you're not going to do it waiting on the government to give you a handout. Take personal accountability. Now, let me just say this, too. She's big on abortion. Stacey Abrams loves abortion rights. She hates the heartbeat bill. Read it in her post. She thinks it's bad for America, especially bad for Georgians. Yeah. Now, I got to say this if I can. We'll run with this just a minute. Now, think about abortion. There are about 800,000 abortions in America a year. Almost half, not quite half, but a large majority of those abortions are minorities in this country. Now, and the way that figure is, it's like 35, 40%, depending on where you live at. But blacks only make up 13% of the population in this country. And yet you got Stacey Abrams, who is a black lady, who is telling black young women that it's okay and it's your right to have an abortion. And I got to say this because it really bothers me, because it's so hypocritical. If I'm a black woman or a black man and I'm listening to Stacey Abrams and she's saying that abortion is your right, the first thing I got to ask and say is an abortion really a good thing for minorities today? Because they make up such a large portion of the abortions in this country. And it's almost like a way the Democratic Party has of killing off black people. It's almost like they say, well, yeah, we need abortions in this country because the majority of them aren't white people, they're black people. And, I know that's strong language, but my God, look at the statistics. And if I were a black man and a black woman, I would have to say, a light would have to go on in my head and say, yeah, those statistics are pretty close to a reality. Well, is that good?
This is what's going on. This is what's going on. Most people having abortions are African American women. Then, if these women didn't go have abortions, would the population be bigger?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you can't sit here. This is just my opinion. Okay. You can get mad all you want to. You can't cry about being a minority whenever you have the chance and the privilege to bring life into this world. It's literally what you're intended to do as a woman, is give birth to life. That is what you want me to define a woman. That's a woman being able to have the ability to give birth and create life. Look at the statistics, add it up, and then look what it would be in 2025 from the time abortion was good and where it was at. It was all in the hoods. It was all where all the minority people lived at. And they came in, and African Americans came in and got abortion after abortion after abortion. Okay? Some say that this was used to actually control the black population. Then you have black leaders telling you, black America, to now get abortions. So is it either that abortions were put here to stop the growth of the black community? Or is it just that black Stacey Abrams and the black leaders over here just don't give a crap about their community, and they want these innocents to die, and these innocents and these mothers to get rid of their kids, because if they grow too much, it could be a problem. But these are the black leaders. These ain't white leaders telling this. This is black leaders, black mothers telling you this.
A lot of it is because sometimes people settle for the situation they're in right now and not for the long-term goal. Sometimes a young woman, white or black or Hispanic, Asian, all types of women get in situations where there is a pregnancy that they don't want.
But this is my point, though. This is my point. You cannot, in my book, complain about being a minority while going and having 5 abortions.
Well, here's the thing about it. These situations do occur. It's naturally going to happen. But if you just settle to say, well, I'm young, I'm pregnant, I want to have an abortion, is that best for any group, any minority group, or anybody in this country? Because I believe it's a human being. I believe the heartbeat bill gets it right. And I think that to say that it's my right to abort the baby, if I were a minority in this country, I would pose that, because I would say we need every minority in this country. Because, you could be aborting a doctor, a president, you could be aborting
you have no
a scientist,
idea.
And just to say I'm going to take the quick route out, I'm going to just settle, get rid of this problem, move on, when long term, if you stopped abortion in this country, then certainly the minorities, it would obviously benefit you. So how can you as a minority think that taking the quick way out is the answer when you need to hold on to minorities in this country, because you're at 13.5%. Don't you want to be a better ratio in America where your numbers are higher? I would think that would be a smart move. But if you just slide it off as if it doesn't really matter, then this is what you're going to get. And to me, it's almost like it's a playbook out of slavery, where we can't legally kill you, but we're going to set it up where you can kill yourself. And I know that's some very, very hard language, but just sit back and think about it. Don't take the short game. Don't support candidates that tell you this. It's okay. It's okay to be pro-life.
With me, this is the thing. We call it generational curses. And what that is that means whatever you do, your kids will reap it, good or bad. And if you want to sit here and defend abortion, and you want to sit here and say that it's the woman's right to choose it, think about this. You have the ability to say, you know what? I'm not going to take the easy way out, because that's what victims do. That's what the victim mentality says for you to do, is to take the easy way out. Do what CNN says. Do what Joe Biden says. Do what Stacey Abrams says. Do what Warnock says out of Georgia. Do what these guys say, because they have your best interest at heart. Well, if they really did have your best interest at heart, they wouldn't be telling you to kill a baby. They wouldn't be telling you to get an abortion. You know why? Because in every state, if you kill a woman, shoot a woman, stab a woman, strangle her, and she's pregnant, doesn't matter how long, how far, doesn't matter. You're going to jail for a double homicide. But yet, if you choose to kill it, it's okay.
Okay, let's move on to something else, because we're talking about Stacey Abrams here. Another thing that really bothers me is back in 2016, when she started her run for governor, her net worth was around negative $200,000. She was deep in debt. She owed, I understand, school bills. She owed credit cards, struggling financially. And now she's worth an estimated $3.1 million.
Isn't that amazing?
Now, the money came because of her speaking engagements and writing books.
But what held her back?
Well, let me say this. Here's what I think really happens. You're wanting to elect a governor. Put this lady in power, Stacey Abrams, who before she got into the political world, deep into the political world, she was financially struggling. Now, she went to Yale University, and she's a lawyer.
Oh.
And so now she is not able to pay her school bill, struggling with credit card debt. And this woman, you want her running the government of Georgia?
You want her to have control over the economy of Georgia?
You want her to, and then wants to make a presidential race. And we're looking at those kinds of candidates to run our country. When most people vote, the very thing they vote for with is their wallets. Because when economies are not doing good, when people are struggling to get a job, that's the first thing they think about is, I can't pay my mortgage payment. I can't make my car payment. Gas is too high. And the list goes on. And yet you think that putting Stacey Abrams in power to lead Georgia, deal with that massive billion-dollar budget, and she's going to be able to make wise choices for Georgians? Now, just think about that. How do you have somebody who's a lawyer out of Yale University struggling financially, not able to barely pay her bills, and the only way she ever really made any money was because of her political stance and speaking engagements and the writing of her books, but her books are sold because now she has national notoriety. She's been on CNN many, many times, and so with that comes some opportunity to make money. The point I'm making is she made it out of politics. She didn't make it out of capitalism. And how do you want a governor in America or to run a country with a multi-billion-dollar budget when what you were given, you were not successful at it?
Yeah.
So I would just say to all people in Georgia, think about this. I'm not saying the Governor Kemp is the best bet, the best choice, but I'm just saying think about who you would vote in for governor, because Stacey Abrams is very left, and I'm going to close with this statement real quick. She's very big on the LGBT community. Yeah. She doesn't like the way the military's run because they do not have enough of minorities involved in it. She doesn't. Her foreign policy, if you read about it, it's like she has never been out of the country. She wants to blame and say that we're just insensitive to people around the world, and that we're fear mongers. And, when I hear people talk about that, I know they have no background in foreign policy. You do not want Stacey Abrams making decisions for your country on foreign policy. I would say get your financial house in order by understanding you did this on your own without politics. Learn more about, if you're going to make Georgia one, how do you represent everybody fairly? Because what I've read about her, it's all about her group and her ideas. It is not about a fair balance between the entire state. Now, I'm not saying she's a bad person. I'm just saying she is a socialist.
I'm saying she's a
left-wing
human
thinker
being
who has had no experience in how to run this government.
I'm saying she's a vile human being.
That's an opinion. I appreciate it.
I'm saying she's an evil woman. I don't think you I'm saying that she is a evil woman. Because here's my thing. If you can defend abortion and you can defend all of these little things, and then you tell me she was in debt, but yet now she's worth over $3 million. Where can I get that privilege at?
Very, very interesting. Well, this is our show. Stacey Abrams. Think about what you're getting ready to do, Georgia. Have a great day. God bless you, and we'll see you later.